Sarah, and today my partner John and I will be talking about whether children should be allowed to have technology.
That's right. The article central to our discussion is a strong, cogent, inductive argument by Melanie Pinola for the New York Times. After reading this article thoroughly, we made an argument diagram consisting of a conclusion and several premises. A strong inductive argument, by definition, is an argument which successfully provides probable but not conclusive logical support for its conclusion.
But you may be asking, what does it mean to be cogent? What are premises and conclusions? Cogency is dependent on the truth of inductively strong arguments' premises. A cogent inductive argument is said to be strong with true premises. Premises are statements which are intended to support a conclusion. Now that we've gotten the essential definitions out of the way, let's talk about the issue at hand before delving into the premises of this article.
So, what drives this argument? Who's behind these concerns regarding children's use of technology? According to an article by Sam Ehrenreich, PhD, parents often worry about their children engaging in bullying, peer pressure, and risky behavior on technology. But these have always been issues among adolescents. Technology simply provides a new outlet for these kinds of behaviors. Therefore, adolescents will engage in these behaviors with or without the presence of technology.
But if technology provides another outlet for adolescents to participate in questionable practices, should they be allowed to interact with technology? Our New York Times article argues that while children should be allowed to use technology, parents have a responsibility to set a good example and facilitate open communication about setting limits with their children.
The first premise to be explored in this argument is the importance of balance. It's important that children learn to balance their online interactions with meaningful real-world experiences and interactions.
Oh, so it's kind of like having a balanced diet. You can eat candy and dessert just as you can use technology, but it's important that you balance out your dessert intake with healthy food, just as it's important to spend time off of that technology. Okay, that makes sense. But isn't the right balance different for every family?
Exactly. Parents should keep an eye out for signs of unhealthy use, such as technology interfering with their children's school, sleep, and time outside. Additionally, families should set limits on their children's use of technology. But parents, be cautioned. These limits should be revised frequently, and limits placed on technology should be uniquely considered for each child.
The use of limits is important in teaching children how to interact with technology. I understand that these limits apply to time, but shouldn't they also apply to the content? It's like that food analogy. Not all time spent on technology is equally as valuable, just as 100 calories of a donut is not as valuable as 100 calories of a salad. Isn't there an equivalent to these empty calories? An empty use of technology?
Absolutely. Technology offers its users the ability to explore virtual art galleries and to tour many cool places all over the world, but it also allows people to mindlessly watch YouTube for hours on end. Time spent watching mindless videos may not be as valuable or enriching as time spent touring different parts of the world and learning.
Now on to the second premise. Parents should be role models for their children when it comes to using technology. It is important that parents follow the rules and regulations that they set regarding technology. They need to know and exemplify when it is important to spend quality time with their families versus when it is appropriate to be on their devices. Parents often make the mistake of using the do as I say, not as I do philosophy when it comes to technology.
So it's important that parents also follow some of the guidelines they set in place and to lead by example. That makes sense, considering children often pick up habits by observing their parents. That leads me to think of another premise discussed in the article. Parents should discuss limits with their children as they are being set.
That's right. In the article, Dr. Lasser mentioned that kids are less likely to balk at limits if they have a role in creating and establishing them. The American Academy of Pediatrics even offers a tool for creating a family media use plan involving children, and the process of setting limits increases the probability that they will adhere to said limits. That being said, Limits should be personal to each child and should be revised often as the child grows.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Are you suggesting that parents should only set limits the children want?
No, of course not. Parents should maintain their parental authoritative position. However, they should try to at least hear their child's opinions regarding limits. Both the parents and the children should be allowed to express what they believe are reasonable limits, and the discussion can progress from there.
Oh, okay, that makes way more sense. You mentioned needing to revisit the technology limits and restrictions as the child grows. I think that's a very important issue. A child's brain grows fastest in the first 3 years of life, and therefore, children of such a young age should have minimal interactions with technology. They should instead be focused on interactions and explorations with real objects, such as physical copies of books rather than ebooks.
But what if they want to call or FaceTime family members?
I'm not suggesting that young children should not be able to interact with distant relatives. Such interaction actually helps in the development of the child's language skills. But aside from calling relatives, children 2 years or younger should not really be using technology.
Okay, that makes sense. What should children older than 2 reasonably be allowed to do with technology? How much time should they be allowed to spend on their devices?
Well, that is up for discussion between the parents and their children. However, the American Academy of Pediatrics has made recommendations for allowed screen time for each age range. But parents should consider their child's maturity and responsibility levels when setting limits and even giving them access to certain technology.
Okay, that does make sense considering limits should be personalized to each child. But I just read an article on Healthline that suggests that technology use can lead to problems like eye strain and musculoskeletal issues. So surely this aspect of technology is bad for children.
This is where that balance we discussed earlier comes into play. Balancing time spent on technology with time spent outside and off of the screen helps combat these issues.
That's right. Well, thank you for having this discussion with me.
Thank you, and thank you to all of our listeners who tuned in today.